Okay. Hello, everyone. Thanks again for your flexibility, and now allow me to share my screen. Just a moment. So this is our GLM2 class. This is the first time we've offered GLM2 in the fall, and the idea is people who took the GLM1 class in the spring, which is what you all did, would have the opportunity to continue and learn more about their course learn more about the general linear model in the fall. So we're doing the GLM2 course this fall. I'm going to tell you a little bit about who I am and what this class is all about. So my PhD is in developmental psychology. I got it at Florida State University. And currently I'm working here at Ohio State as an assistant professor. My office is in the Ramsire building in 211. And so is Susan's office, which is very handy. We're right next to each other. Generally, in terms of my research agenda, I study research methods and I study analytics and I study how these are used to answer questions within education research. Now about this class, in this class we're moving from the understanding of how equations work within models to understanding how to use these within your actual research. So whereas in intro stats you might be handed a data set that you can plug and chug, get some numbers, get a direct answer right out of. In this class, we're really moving into focusing on applications and what you can do with your data. I told you, so Hannah has been in my class before, so she's getting a lot of this is very similar here at the beginning. So I want to talk a little bit about scaffolding. The thing about scaffolding, the idea of it is you use it to put outside of a big building as you're putting it up. And then once you've built the foundation, you can pull the scaffolding down. And I will use the same type of idea within this class in terms of when I'm teaching you a new topic, I may tell you a lot more information than you necessarily need in order to use this technique or in order to evaluate this technique in a paper that you're using or that you're reading. But it's necessary to have that in place so that you can really build a firm foundation. So I'll try to do my best to distinguish between when I'm talking about things that are scaffolding practices, so things where I'm telling you a lot about equations or information that you should know in order to build that foundation, versus when I'm telling you about things that you need to know more specifically, directly related to how you would interpret something that you're reading or something that you're working on. So generally my philosophy about statistics is that, people tend to think about statistics that it's like scary and terrible and awful. And my evidence of this is purely anecdotal, which is on airplanes when I introduce myself to someone, in the before times. When I'd introduce myself to someone on an airplane and I would say, I teach statistics, they will always say, better you than me, or God, that's the worst subject. I don't understand it at all. But I feel like truly statistics is an excellent tool that you can use to help you tell a story, help you relay information, and understand the world. This is supposed to be a little moving image of David Tennant smacking a computer and saying, "Why won't you work?" But it doesn't work anymore. So, oh well. So I believe statistical analyses are tools, and it's my job to teach you how to use those tools. And I've constructed this class with the idea of a mastery learning approach. For those of you who study education theory, you should have a concept of what that means. But the idea here is I want you all to be successful at this. I want you to think about data like a researcher. I want you to be able to talk about regression and GLM results with your colleagues and with your advisor. and with your friends and with your relatives. Maybe even on a social media platform. Who knows? All right, moving to the syllabus. I want to emphasize that this year, more than maybe any other year, this syllabus is going to be a living document. As our needs as a class evolve and change, so will the content of our weekly meetings and our weekly readings. So this is the first time that I have taught this GLM2 class, and it's the first time you have taken it. This is a much smaller group than usual, so we may be able to go faster than anticipated. However, also, COVID is real, and who knows what's going to be happening. So I want to make sure that we're all being as flexible as we can and as patient as we can with ourselves and with one another so that we can get the most out of this class. Any changes that I make, I know I have some very change-averse people in my life, so I try to give you a week's warning at least for any changes that we make in the syllabus. I won't make any changes without telling you first, and any changes that we do make will be reflected in an updated syllabus, which I'll keep on the Carmen page. Okay, I'm going to talk a little bit more about the syllabus specifically. The first thing, actually, I think that all three of these things are not necessarily on the syllabus, so I'm going to talk through them really quickly. The first is that we have weekly meetings. They will be synchronously on Mondays at 4 or 10, and we'll go until 6:50 is technically the ending time. When we do Zoom meetings, I try to end them a little bit earlier and give you other videos to watch because 3 straight hours on Zoom is pretty difficult. We will be doing some meetings in person and some on Zoom. I'll try to keep us in person as much as possible, but my goal is to let you know within 1 week in advance what the meeting date will be, barring someone, falling down the stairs and breaking their arm. Okay, in terms of Zoom etiquette, I have an announcement about this that I'll put up on your Carmen page as well. Your cameras do not have to be on. If you don't want them on, that's fine. There is no dress code, but please wear clothes. Life happens. You're going to see stuff happening behind me. I expect that if you're home and on Zoom, I will see stuff happening behind you if your camera's on. That's fine. Life is very strange this year. Who knows? Will my kids have school? I don't know. Do you have kids? Are they going to have school? Who knows? We don't know. We're going to try to do our best to roll with these punches that come this year. When we're in person, these are the 3 university rules that I want to make sure we all follow. First is that your masks have to be worn on your nose and mouth at all times. No eating is allowed in class, and drinking is okay, but it should be quickly, like pull it down, take a drink, put it back on. All right, those are the things that are not in the syllabus. Now I want to walk you through what is in the syllabus really briefly so you can see a few of the things that I have found in the past students tend to find a little bit confusing about the way that I run a class. So I'm going to walk you through them. So this is my syllabus. It is on our Carmen page. What I've done this year to try to facilitate more communication between you guys as students and me as a professor, and to make sure that everybody's time is preserved, is I've set up this little link here that you can click on for office hours to meet with me. That way we don't end up having 4 or 5 people show up at a time and people have to sit and wait. So if you sign up for a time using this little link here, it will book a time with me. And it's on both Thursday and Friday afternoons. That way, hopefully one of those afternoons will work for you and you'll be able to book a slot with me. Now, we're going to do those on Zoom just so that you don't have to commute someplace if you don't have to, since they're individual one-on-one meetings. All right, next. I'm going to try to record I'm going to record every lecture, even if I'm there in person, so that anyone who is not there, something happens, who knows, that lectures will be recorded and you'll be able to access them later. The labs will be virtual. I know that the folks who are there in the classroom got a little bit of an introduction to the lab. The folks who are here on Zoom do not, so perhaps, Susan, if you'll stick around for a minute after we're done, you can provide a similar orientation for them. Is that cool? Hold on one second. Like I said, life happens. Hi, Gil. Charlie is downstairs. Let me see if I can get him. And I'll be right back. Charlie, Gil's here. Okay. So the course is going to be conducted primarily synchronously and will be a mix of online and in-person delivery. We've already talked a little bit about the relations between this class and GLM 1. Let me tell you a little bit about my learning objectives. I take these very seriously, and I will talk about them a bit throughout the course as we're moving on. So I think it's very important by the end of this class that you understand the limits and the flexibility of the general linear model. It's a very cool system of models, and it's exciting to be able to show you both how flexible it really is, but also it can't do everything. By the end of this course, you'll be able to apply GLM to answer questions in your own field. I want you to be not only able to do that, but comfortable and confident with doing that. And then also in this course, my goal is for you to understand how GLM will work in just about any field. So oftentimes within these courses, we have people who come from lots of different areas of the university. So we'll be looking at each other's work to help understand how GLM cuts across multiple fields. Okay, next we have our course outcomes. So this is more specifically the kinds of things that I'd like for you to be able to do by the end of the course. So I have information about using a statistical program, finding a research question and how that's connected to a GLM technique, how to write results up from these GLM analyses that you'll learn, and translating them into meaningful language. We'll also do a few critiques of articles that use GLM. I've already addressed the change policy a little bit, so I will scoot on past that, but I will tell you that the last week of classes I leave open to be chosen by you in terms of things that you're reading in class, in your articles that you're reading, and what you think is missing and that you'd like to learn more about. All right, course materials. I'm going to be doing everything via Carmen or Canvas. It's going to be organized by modules for each week's class. So I'll have week 1 and I'll have all the information for 1 week, and then week 2 and all of the information for week 2. So you will need access to Carmen and Canvas. Well, it's called Carmen here, Canvas, whatever. There are online quizzes, but don't be afraid of them. And homework assignments will be submitted there. You will need access to SPSS. Here's information about how to get that. Next, you'll see that this is highlighted. For this course, you are required to have a data set that's of a topic in your field or area of expertise, the field or area of expertise that you are growing and that you are interested in. So maybe it's pilot data you've collected, maybe it's a de-identified subset of your advisor's data, something like that. You must have this data set in time to turn in an assignment. I believe the date is September 20th. That seems early. It's on my other form. Hang on. Let's check. Let's double check the date that it's due. September 24th. Ta-da. Oh, I can't change it. September 24th. So you have a little bit of time to get a data set together. If you think that you don't have one, go ahead and contact me as soon as possible, and we'll start helping you find one. Okay, this course has both a lecture and a lab. So you've talked a little bit about what the lab works, how it works, and what it looks like. And Susan will tell you a little bit more about how that will work. Your lab grade becomes part of your final grade for this course. I'll show you exactly how much here in a second. So next I want to tell you about readings. So each week I'm going to give you some readings. All of the required readings in this course are going to be given to you on paper. So I have digital copies of anything that's required for you to read. I do also have some supplemental optional resources that you can use if you would like to, but nothing that I am requiring of you costs money, if that makes sense. So here are 2 textbooks. They're both very good, but they're both very expensive. So I don't rely on them for teaching this class, but they're here. This is a really nice intro book in terms of understanding basics of statistics. It's, I think, $10. So I really like this one. If you're sort of struggling with some introductory statistics concepts and want to relook at them, here's a good example. And then this is a nice little Sage book. It's again around $10. So both of these books I think are pretty reasonably priced. These 2 are somewhere in the $100 to $200 range, so I don't require them. All right, I've also given you, so just hold with me, I'm going to scroll. Here's some links on books on SPSS and R. Okay, now, here's what your grade is going to be made up of. We have participation in in-class activities. Those are quizzes that I've talked about before. Your quizzes are graded, but you can take them as many times as you want. They're truly for me to understand whether we are communicating well, whether you're picking up the information that I'm explaining to you, and whether I'm explaining it well. Lab participation, which is what you'll do with Susan, that's going to be 15% of your grade. Homework assignments are going to be 50% of your grade. There are 10 homework assignments. You'll have one just about every week, and that will make up 50% of your grade. Feedback is providing feedback to your peers, and then we have a final project. You will notice that there are no exams because I don't believe in them. Okay, homework assignments. The other weird thing about the way this works is this how homeworks are turned in. What's going to happen is that on Monday we're going to have class like this. You're going to be assigned a homework that will reinforce the ideas from class. On Tuesdays you're going to go to lab and you're going to learn about what happens, like how to actually code these things that we just talked about. And then by Friday at noon, the homework assignment will be due. Then by Monday at class time, you're going to review another student's work. So I'm going to try to have these graded within the week. We'll see, but hopefully I will make that happen, assuming, again, everything goes well. Okay, those are the big pieces of this syllabus that I wanted to make sure that I went over with you. And now I've just talked nonstop for 30 minutes, which is extremely boring, and I'm sorry. I was not planning on being not in person. Okay, can I stop really quickly and ask for some feedback on the sort of 5 big pieces of your grade and make sure that those make sense to you? Okay, sounds good. I have one more thing I want to talk about in the syllabus, and then we'll look at the oh God, Hold on. Okay. So for late assignments, if you may have been able to had time to read that by now, so most of the assignments that I'm assigning you will have a peer review component. So I'm asking you to read someone else's work. So the only penalty for not turning in an assignment on time is that you lose the opportunity to earn the points for that. Otherwise, you can turn it in as many times as you want. You can see this on my makeup work. You can always do assignment over and over again as many times as you want. Anything turned into me by 12:13 at noon will be graded and will count towards your final grade. New grades will replace old grades without penalty. Make sense? Maybe? Thank you. I appreciate the thumbs up. Okay. Now, so you have already will have up by the end of class time today. I have your first assignment, which is really just it's a quiz. It's a survey, but it's called a quiz, and it's about your previous experience and your previous information, like what you previously have retained from GLM1. And that's really just so that I have a really good idea of where to start, how quickly to pick up things and run, and how slowly to pick up things and run, starting when we get back. And my plan next was to have you all meet each other, which is a little bit tricky to do like this because you can't really see each other. How about this? Do you know each other from GLM1? Maybe? Don't know? Not really? Okay. So then what I'd like to do then is we'll sort of necessarily segregate. And I know you can't exactly put your heads together, but from across the room from each other, my local in-person people, what I'd like you to do is introduce yourselves to each other. And I have 2 questions for you to answer. So I'll put them up in the chat so that you can all see them. And then for my people who are here in my Zoom room, I'm going to put you in a breakout room randomly with each other to just say hello. And I'll give you these questions. And it's basically simple introductions, which is, who are you? What's your name? Where are you? Like, what's your degree program? What do you study? And what's a typical research question that you would ask that you might see in your field? So let me put those in the chat here so that you can have access to them. Actually, while I'm doing this, I forgot to tell you this. If you'll grab a scrap sheet of paper or just like set aside a little spot on a document where you're working, I'm trying to get you down to like a 1 sentence explanation of what you study. So spend the next 2 minutes, 3 minutes that it's going to take me to organize all of the breakout rooms and get these questions written up for you to come up with a 1 to 2 sentence explanation of the kinds of things that you study. I did mine at the beginning, and that is I study research methods and how education scientists use those research methods to answer questions in their fields. So that's my example. Okay, I have made some breakout rooms for these folks here, so you all in person feel free to chat and I'll just keep you muted. You'll have to pick people yourself. Okay. So one more thing I want to share with you is at the end of our syllabus, you'll see that there's a course schedule. And I want to show you how to read the course schedule because sometimes rows and columns can be tricky. I have the date of the class meeting. This is the week. This is the topic we'll cover. This is the homework that's been assigned and the date that it's due. Any readings that you have to complete before you come to class will be in this column. And then any additional readings that I think from the textbooks or from the other potential readings that I have listed, I will put here, just so that you know where they're from if you happen to have those books. So I'll have a homework assignment 1, which is a survey quiz thing. It will be up later on this evening. You'll have until 9:13 to fill out that quiz. It is not a difficult quiz. It's really more of a survey. And then before the next class, I'd like you to read this article. And there may be 1 or 2 other articles, but if so, they'll be listed in the weekly information. Okay. The last thing that you will find in that, in your weekly Module 1 is information about your data set, the data set that you need. So this is a 1-page summary of the data set that you need in order to be able to be successful for the rest of the assignments in the class. All right. that's really my big major orientation to the class. I'm going to stop sharing, and I do usually like a lot more back and forth, but I think that given our sort of strange situation with this first class, I have these really fun activities that don't really work well in this situation. So we'll do a brief version of them when we come back. Oh, the last thing is that I do want to say, when I think you all may have taken a Monday class, the GLM1 class. Was it also on Mondays?
Yes.
Don't know. Yes, for some of you it was, for some of you maybe it wasn't. Um, so the thing about meeting once a week on a Monday class is that because Tuesday is the first day of the semester, you will have had 3 classes with everyone else before we start covering real content in here. And that feels always very strange. So I don't want you to think that you'll probably feel behind, but you're not behind. The whole class is sort of late by a week compared to everyone else. That's all. So just be aware that that uncomfortable feeling, you might have it, and it's totally normal. Okay. I think that we're actually going to be just about done. I want my people on Zoom to stick around to get information about the lab. But otherwise, I'm going to sit here. We'll have open the floor for questions, for discussions. And that's really about it for today.
So do you want me to go ahead and talk about lab?
Not yet, because I think we'll let the people who are there go if you've gotten everything through, or have you not?
With them, yeah.
Okay, so let's make sure that people don't have questions about how could you, whatever. If you have points of clarification you would like me to make about the way that this course is structured or the way that it will work, let's talk about those first. We're all feeling very confident. All right, awesome. Okay, sorry to make us once again apologize for this very strange first meeting. And then, Susan, I'll let you take over.
All right, thank you. All right, can you guys on Zoom hear me okay? All right, awesome. So with the lab, it's going to be a little different for those of you who have had me for 1 to 5 more other classes. So typically we would have a live session and I would record it and give you guys a recording. I have schedule conflicts, so instead they will be pre-recorded and posted by the time you guys get to your lab time. I'm going to try my hardest to get it posted like Monday night instead, but it might be up until Tuesday at noon. So you will have access to the lab video. I will go over like all the examples and problems that I'm doing twice. Once very slowly showing you what I'm doing, why I'm doing everything, and then another time again for like reiteration. So you'll have access to those videos. Also within each week module that you'll see that Dr. Logan posts at the very bottom, I will add like a little page for like a link to that pre-recorded video, the files that I use if I'm using like a specific data set, that way you can practice with a specific one. And it's very important that you watch those videos. So you do have a lab participation grade, is a pretty good chunk of your overall grade. So because I can't do the typical gauge of lab participation in a in-person lab setting or synchronous session, we're going to have slightly different participation. So it'll be something like just comment something specific down below if you've watched the video. So it'll be like a discussion post. So Al can see that you've watched the video, because I can't always see if you've really watched the video or not. Sometimes they'll just say iPhone watched the video. I don't know who that is. So that way I know for sure everyone gets the credit for watching the video. You can also like ask each other questions in that like discussion section. That's fine too. Sometimes it will have like a small participation, like send me your output for, you know, whatever analysis you're supposed to turn in that Friday. It's a bit more loosey-goosey. It's not as stringent as like your homework assignments. So it basically depends on what we're covering. If I see a lot of questions about it, things like that. I might post supplementary material as well. So you'll all see it there, changes to office hours, extra office hours, things like that. You'll see it all there. And I'm actually going to record a video tonight explaining all this again and actually showing you on my computer what it will look like. And then you can get your first participation credit by just saying yes or no. Did you see the video? Like, could you see it? But that's about it. Are there any questions?
And I've also recorded this, Susan, so it'll go up with today's orientation slides.
Awesome.
Yeah, we have these classes. It's really unfortunate. Susan and I met about this, that it's just due to scheduling that she's unable to do it synchronously. But I think you're going to have office hours as well. Is that right, Susan?
Yes. Right now they are Thursdays 4 to 5. I'm going to try to find like another hour, and you feel free to just email me if you want to set up a specific appointment. I think I said Tuesdays 4 to 5. I'm not sure. I meant Thursdays. Thursdays 4 to 5.
Okay, great. All right, I'm going to stop the recording. Thanks for watching, everyone.